It's going live. We are live. Go ahead and blast the links out so that people can join us.
Yep, just blasted the link out on Twitter, so and I'm sharing on Google Plus now.
So am I. All right, there's that. I'm going to put it on Facebook too.
Facebook.
I use Facebook a lot now. It's crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, there are people I like there.
You know who doesn't use Facebook? Colonel Jack O'Neill. 2 L's.
Because he doesn't know about the Facebooks.
Right. You know who else doesn't use Facebook? Dr. Rodney McKay. Because he's in another galaxy.
Yeah, and Dr. Rodney McKay is still angry at the Facebook guy because he stole his idea.
Am I supposed to be recording this as well, or are you just going to rip the audio from...
Well, we'll get better quality if we record it.
Well, then that means I have to get my QuickTime new audio recording. Alrighty. I am hitting... should I hit the record button now? I probably should, huh?
I'm not recording yet, so give me a sec. Okay. I got distracted by Facebook. All right, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3, record.
And bars are moving, numbers are climbing. I think we're good.
I got some stuff. I got some squiggles. I think I'm good as well.
Squiggles! Yeah. Right. And for anybody watching this later, we apologize for not knowing what the fuck we're doing, but this is only the second time we've done it live.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna get things wrong.
We're still learning.
We're used to doing a podcast that is, we can edit it and make ourselves sound awesome.
Wait, who's this we? I don't do any of that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
I leave that to my techno mage.
Yes, I'm a tech mage. Awesome. I can't wait to level up.
Well,
Then I become an ogre techno mage.
Oh, geez. Now you're just being all needy.
How is that being needy?
I don't know. I couldn't think of the word I was trying to think of, so I used a different word instead. That's what happens when I do things live. I can't just stop and think and then speak, and then you cut out the intervening dead air.
Yeah, sometimes there's a lot of dead air.
This is more off the cuff. It's all crazy.
It is, and we are going to be very crazy. I think we can go ahead and get the announcements out of the way. What say you?
I say yes.
All right. So my very first announcement is, once again, peeps, we can use reviews, iTunes, Stitcher, recommend episodes on rpgpodcast.com. Get us up there. Yeah, my nose itches. And yes, we could always use more rankings in the nets so that other people can find us. Hopefully you think we're awesome because you're watching and listening to us.
Hopefully,
yeah.
If you're not, why are you?
Well, I can think of a couple reasons why people would listen to us if they didn't think we're awesome, but I don't want to bring myself down by saying it.
Let's not go there. We're awesome, and so people watch us and listen to us.
We're awesome, yeah. Amazing. Second item of business. This probably won't affect really anyone out there, but I am no longer selling my games on DriveThruRPG because of the recent nastiness that went down. I've decided that I no longer want to patronize that company. So now you can get Threshold on Amazon, and sometime after December, after the exclusivity thing is over, I will hopefully have a marketplace on sharkbonegames.com
Sweet.
where I can sell it then. There. And hopefully I'm trying to find funding so that I can get some art for Agents of Helix and finally finish that one and get it ebooked and sent out there as well. So maybe by the new year, there will be a new game.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm excited. This whole situation just kind of kicked me in the ass, and I'm like, I should get more. I should get to work. I think we'll have some fun.
Yeah.
And we have a viewer.
Shall be had. Oh, we have a viewer. What's going on?
Yeah, we don't know who you are, sadly. But I guess I should open the Q&A app.
Right. I was saying, speaking of viewer, we probably should give a way for the viewers to chat and interact in some form or fashion.
It's the Q&A app is turned on. So if you don't have it up on the left side of your viewing screen, you can go to the left, I think, as long as I don't exactly know how it looks on your end.
Yeah, but I've got it up.
Yeah, Q&A on the left side, you click on it, and then you'll be able to type questions for us to talk about. Christopher, do you have any announcements you want to throw out?
Not really an announcement, but more, well, I guess, yeah, it's kind of an announcement. Just recently got a new game from a Kickstarter that I backed a while ago called Shadow of the Demon Lord.
Oh, I have heard so many good things about that.
You haven't heard enough good things because it's even better than that.
I heard his interview with, I think it was the RPG Academy guys.
RPG Academy, yeah. That's what kind of got me interested in it. And I backed the Kickstarter. And it's like, it's a love letter to D&D meets Warhammer Fantasy. It's got that gritty and deadly nastiness of Warhammer Fantasy, but it's a D20 based system, and I enjoy the mechanics of the game from what I've read, and that's saying something because I don't like D20.
Yeah, I heard him talk about it, and didn't they do a one shot of it, or was that someone else?
Don't think it was on one shot.
I don't recall. Well, I was very impressed by what I heard. I am looking forward to giving that game a try. It seems real fun.
It does, and I'm actually going to be running a game coming up here, do like 4 or 5 adventures just to, break it in.
Awesome.
See what it's all about.
Definitely report back.
I will.
I want to know what you think.
I will definitely do so.
Awesome. Do you have any other announcements to throw out?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Then I guess we can move into our topic for tonight. I'm very excited.
Do we have a topic tonight?
We do have a topic. The patrons have voted.
That's right. Drinking games.
Drinking games is our topic. We should make a tabletop RPG about drinking games, but I can't think of a way to make it fun for everybody.
You're drinking, isn't that fun?
I don't like drinking that much.
Oh, okay.
Well, I like drinking. I don't want to drink that quantity, rather.
Fair enough.
I've never really been drunk, and I'm not sure that I want to be. I've drank a bit, and you start to feel a little clumsy and your brain's not working very well. And I'm like, I think this is about my limit. I don't think I want to go any farther.
Some people say that you need to get drunk at least once in your life to know what it's like. But I say, if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't see the reason behind that. But anyways, I don't recall what the other option was, but our patrons voted. The $5 and up patrons voted on the topic for tonight. And we are going to talk about Stargate.
Yes!
Stargate. I know. It's going to be awesome. So, for those of you who don't know, and if you're listening to the show and don't know what Stargate is, I
don't know
must say, yeah, you must not have been paying attention for very much. But Stargate is my favorite TV show. Well, my favorite show franchise, I guess, of all
Right.
time. It is basically military sci-fi, us against them, and the them are aliens who are super powerful, and they want to come and, well, in SG-1, they want to come to Earth and enslave us and make us their bitches.
Yeah. It all started in 1994 by it was the Stargate movie starring Kurt Russell, James Spader, which kind of set the stage for it, but not really setting the tone.
Mm-hmm.
Because from what I hear, the TV show was, according to the creator of Stargate, the movie, the TV show is an abomination
Yeah,
because
it,
it's
it
not at
doesn't
all what he
follow his
wanted.
vision at all. But I hear they're going to be rebooting it. They're giving him a chance to write some scripts to make another trilogy following his original vision.
Yeah. So we'll see if that ever comes to fruition.
It might not. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's 15, what is it? No, it's 17 seasons of Stargate as we know it. So if he goes and changes everything, he's going to be starting from scratch and have to find a new fan base, I'm sure.
Yeah, there was 10 seasons of SG-1 and 5 seasons of Atlantis and 2 seasons of Universe.
Yep. I love them all. I got to say, I love Stargate. It is amazing. There's a Stargate role-playing game, too.
Yeah,
And it does some pretty cool stuff.
I need to
even though
purchase
it's clumsy D20. It's like 3.0 D20.
Yeah.
And it's a little clumsy. But there's some really cool stuff that it does. Some ideas that are marinating in my head that I want to pull out and use in other D20 products.
Nice.
Like the initiative system is interesting, but I don't know that I want to put that in anything else. Because it's like you have an initiative of like 30. And then every action you take reduces your initiative for your next turn. So pretty soon you have an initiative of like 1. And then it goes back up to high numbers or something like that. It's a bit confusing. Yeah. It looks like it might be interesting, but I think the bookkeeping is going to be more problem than it's worth.
Yeah, sounds like.
Granted, I haven't tried it out, so I don't know.
Maybe we'll have to give it a shot and just, one shot it and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. That would be fun. There you go. We should do our actual play series, Stargate.
Oh, jeez. I don't know if we should do it with that specific game system.
Stargate D20.
God, just
a decade and a half overdue.
Yeah, no, there's a reason why there was only, 3 books published for it?
Something like that. Yeah, there weren't very many.
So do you think we should go a little bit more in depth about the setting, or do we assume that our listeners know enough for us to just start babbling?
Well, why don't you talk about whatever details you think are important about the setting, and I'm sure that will kickstart the babbling.
Okay. Well, the important thing is that the Goa'uld are the bad guys. They are snake-like creatures that burrow into your brain and take over your body. They are scavengers of technology, so all of their shit is that they've taken from someone else. It isn't until later seasons we find out that the ancients created the Stargates, because until then we thought that the Goa'uld created them. The Stargate itself is this big round device that allows you to connect to other gates within the same galaxy and step through a wormhole for near instantaneous transportation. Humanity, or America, I guess, takes its idea of manifest destiny out to the stars. The U.S. Air Force pisses off the wrong Goa'uld, who are impersonating the Egyptian gods, which is why we all know that the pyramids are landing platforms for alien spacecraft.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they are. And we piss everybody off.
Yep.
I don't know why either. Hey, we're friendly.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
I mean, we're not as unfriendly. I don't think it's that we piss everyone off. It's just that the Goa'uld have the spaceships and we piss them off, so it seems like it's everybody. But they were the only
They're
ones
the
who were
most
flying
powerful
dirt.
kid on the block. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite part of Stargate? Let's go SG-1 to start.
I was going to say that's a very broad. My favorite part of SG-1 would have to be the rapport between O'Neill and Daniel Jackson. Like, just the chemistry between those two characters is great.
It is. They're very different, and they have I almost want to say it's like a brotherly relationship. They're always kind of
Yeah,
competing.
and picking on each
Uh,
other.
yeah, yeah, but they don't have the same kind of specializations. You know, one is super physical, and the other one is super intellectual. So they can't really compete one with another, but they still try, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that would be my favorite, like, character driven thing, is just that interaction between the two of them. But my favorite thing in SG-1 would have to be Samantha Carter.
Okay,
She
your favorite
is,
thing, your favorite character?
well, my favorite character. Well, my favorite thing is because she's obviously not a thing; she's a person. But my favorite thing is what she does and what she adds to the group. Because not only is she a world-renowned astrophysicist, but she's also an accomplished soldier, and she routinely pulls the team's ass out of the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not the token chick on the team.
No, not at all.
She is Xena with a P90.
Do we have to arm wrestle? I
It's
love
okay. I played with dolls when I was younger.
I love Carter as well. I love all the characters, but one of the things that I really love about Carter is that she can be a full character, you know, completely able to take care of herself, take care of her teammates.
Mm-hmm.
She can solve questions, she can solve problems. She knows things that no one else on the team does, you know, so
Yeah.
she is an expert in what she does. But then she can also, like, they have moments where she's totally like, yes, I am a woman. I can do these things, you know, that, you know, you would expect a woman to do because I am a woman, but I'm also all this other stuff. And I just think it all comes together and makes her a wonderful full character.
Yeah.
I would like to see that more in games. I think games could learn a lot, especially like games like D&D, where you have that party and you have
Yeah.
those set
Specialization.
structures. Uh-huh. It could learn a lot from Stargate and the way those teams are built and the rapport between all the characters in those principal teams.
Right. What about you, Devin? In SG-1, what are
Oh my
your
goodness.
favorite things?
I think one of my favorite things is all the different cultures, because it's a huge mind game. It's a big what if. You know, it's like, what if we took Mongols out of Asia and we took them to this planet way far away, and then 2,000 years later, how is their culture going to be? You know, how is it going to have changed? And all the different cultures that they encounter, and they're always like, oh, it works like this and this and this, and then they learn, oh, it doesn't
Oh,
work like
it
this.
does.
It works like this, or you know, all the. I kind of like looking at historical cultures and trying to figure out what they would be if they had continued along their track, and Stargate kind of lets you play with in that mental space a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also you get the what was the advanced people that Carter fell in love with?
The
Schrodinger's
Tolans?
cat, the Tolans. The Tolans. You look at humans. What if they advanced more quickly in technology than we did? You know,
Mhm.
I like it that we're not the most advanced ones out there too. You
Right,
know,
because there was the Tolan, the Nox, the Asgard, the Ancients,
yeah,
and the
but
Furlings, right?
the
They were the
Furlings,
fourth
yes.
race.
But they were all alien except for the ancients. The ancients were supposedly the first evolution of
Evolution
this
of
form.
this.
But
Not that that's a line from the show ever at all.
no, never. Um, I like that there are humans that come from our same stock that are more advanced than we are. So it's like it kind of knocks us down a notch to say, hey, there are other people out here that we can learn from. And I think that realization is also very important.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. I love me some Stargate. So out of the 3 series, which is your favorite? You have to pick.
I have to pick.
You have to pick.
I would have to go with SG-1 because it started strong and it ended strong. Because SGU, they started strong, but then they kind of just tapered off and left us hanging at the end, which, you know.
Well, that wasn't their fault.
Right, it wasn't their fault, but at the same time, I understand why they did what they did. Spoiler alert, everyone went into cryo sleep for like 3 to 5 years or something.
Yeah.
As they hyperspace between galaxies.
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
If their calculations were wrong.
Right.
It's like it's going to be at least 4 years. But if we're wrong, we could wake up 1,000 years in the future. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So, and SGU lost funding because of, you know, I don't know why.
Sci-Fi decided not to buy another season, I think.
Yeah, stupid sci-fi.
Yeah.
SGA, Atlantis, started really good, but the whole Michael storyline just is difficult to get through a second time.
Really? I liked Michael.
See, I liked the beginning of Michael, but then he like kept coming back and coming back, and it felt
yes,
like
he did get a little repetitive.
It felt like they were just scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, oh, what bad guy should we have now? Oh, let's just bring Michael back. We'll have him to deal with for half a season. We'll be good.
So, listeners, Stargate Atlantis is the show where they go to an entire new galaxy.
Pegasus Galaxy.
The Pegasus Galaxy. And they're out there, and the main bad guys there are an alien race that they're kind of like sci-fi vampires. They feed through a little mouth on their hands, and so they jam their hand up against your chest, and they suck the life force out of you. And one of those wraiths was called Michael. And what happened is they tried to make him human.
Have a name. He was given the name.
Yes, he didn't have a name. They changed him into a human. They called him Michael, so he thought he was human, and then he learned as he started reverting back into his wraith form that, no, I'm really a wraith. They just suppressed my alien DNA, so I look human. And so he got really pissed, and so he was bipping and bopping around the galaxy, helping them, harming them, fighting against them, whatever. Right. He was that off and on ally enemy.
And the important thing with Michael as an enemy is that once the humans on Atlantis made him into a human, he never fully reverted back to Wraith. So the Wraith people didn't trust him and tried to kill him. So he had a grudge against all sides, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm becoming a homicidal maniac and kill everybody."
Yeah, for the Wraith, he was too human, and for the humans, he was too Wraith.
So he had no place to call home, which sucks, but at the same time, just fucking kill him already. You want a good Wraith, sometime good guy, sometime bad guy? Todd. Todd was fucking
amazing. I love Todd. With that badass tattoo he had.
Yep. And for those of you who haven't seen Stargate Atlantis, the Wraith don't have names. So after the Atlantis expedition interacts with a Wraith enough times, we're like, we need to have a name for you. How's Todd?
Yeah, they were always coming up with weird names. I've got to say, my favorite Stargate has got to be SGU. I love all of it. I really do. But SGU was different, and it was good storytelling, and it was the bad guys weren't the aliens on the outside. The bad guys were the people that you were living with on this giant ship that was far, far away out in another galaxy, and you had to learn to live with them because you couldn't just go home and take an extended leave and not have to deal with them for a week. You had to see them the next day no matter what. And so there was a lot of tension, a lot of stress, and I really liked the stories they were telling there. And you know what? I think for SGU, they left us in the best possible way they could have.
Yeah,
they lost their funding.
They could technically pick it back up, next year for season 3 and be like, hey, get all the original cast together and be like, it's been, 4 years, 5 years?
Something.
Like, okay, well, it was 4-ish. We'll have you guys hop out of hyperspace and pick up where we left off. So they totally can, but I doubt it. Yeah,
but then I also think that there's a lot of fun to be had for the fans, because there's a rabid fan base out there that writes fanfic, right?
Yeah.
And there are Stargate novels, and there's all sorts of really cool stuff out there. So there's at this point, they could pick up the SGU story and go anywhere with it. And I wish somebody would write some novels, but as far as I know, it's not happening yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would be cool is if they picked it up like they did with Buffy and do like the next season as a comic.
Yeah. Smallville did that too.
Oh, that's right. Smallville did too. So
yep.
There's precedence. So someone over at MGM, get on it.
I don't know that they're going to be listening to this episode.
Oh, they should be.
Everyone should listen to Sharkbone.
Well, especially the Stargate episode, because Stargate is awesome. We're awesome. Put it together, we're awesome squared. Which is a hell of a lot of awesome.
That's a lot of awesome. If we take the ASCII number for every single letter and then square it, we're going to have a really big number.
Yes. Unless you went for the hex numbering system, then, not so much with the awesome.
Well, it would still be a really big number. I would just have a really hard time squaring a hexadecimal number.
What is the square of FD015A?
I do not know.
I'm sure someone's going to figure it out and be like, dumbasses, this is what it is. Damn it.
Yes, probably. If you know it and you're watching, use the Q&A app to let us know what it is.
Or if you listen later on when we air this on the feed, let us know anyway.
Yep. You can tweet me, _bone.
You could tweet me at Eldritch Fire.
Yep.
Or hit us up at Google Plus, or apparently Facebook, because Devin's fond of it now.
I've got family and friends and designer people that I like being in touch with over on Facebook. Facebook page is facebook.com/sharkbonecast if you are into the Facebooks. Excuse me. All right. So I think we need to go into another aspect of Stargate that we have to talk about.
Actually, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to revisit something that you touched on a little while ago.
Do it.
With the cool thing about the Stargate story is that each culture or each alien race is taken from a different mythology from Earth. So the Goa'uld are based off of the Egyptian pantheon. The Asgard, as I'm sure you guys can tell by the name, is taken from ancient Norse myth. So, we ran into Loki. Thor is common. Thor shows up a lot. He's good friends with
yeah, he does.
O'Neill. And then later on, the replicators are really the only bad guys that don't have any historical anything, because, they're a bunch of mechanical bugs. Bastards.
You're right. Yeah. The replicators are awesome, though.
Yes. The replicators are cool. The non-human form replicators are awesome. The human form replicators are okay. But
they're interesting, but the replicators got a lot less interesting when they
right,
showed up.
yeah.
I do got to admit.
And just to finish out the thought before I go back to the replicators, because I do want to spend some time on them. And then in the last 2 seasons, the Ori, it's all delving into Arthurian myth because you're looking for Arthur, the Holy Grail. There's a fucking dragon. And so
Yeah.
the cool thing with that setting is that they're taking from our Earth's history, because the whole idea is that humanity started off on Earth and the Goa'uld took slaves from Earth and seeded the galaxy or took humans from Earth to seed the galaxy and use them as slaves for all their various enterprises. And they used the Egyptian god mythology to get them to worship them and to keep them in line, you know, all the things that dictators use. But they're still very relatable because, you know, whenever we meet a new Goa'uld, Daniel Jackson, being the historian and the guy who knows all this stuff, he's like, oh, he's this guy from blah 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 blah, and like it's a history lesson in a nutshell. And it's like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. You know, let me look up more about Hathor, or
Yeah.
what's going on with Osiris and Isis.
Mm-hmm.
Osiris was awesome. Hathor, she was all right. I mean, she was a one-off, but you know, it was nice for Daniel Jackson to be like, yeah, she's the god of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Even though that was O'Neill who said it, but Jackson was like, yeah, pretty much.
Man, I'm gonna have to go back and watch SG1 now. I'm sure my wife will be thrilled. She's a big fan of SG1 as well. She's doesn't really like SGA or SGU. She likes O'Neill and Daniel Jackson.
Who doesn't?
So, yeah, I told her, I'm like, hey, they're gonna do a reboot. We might be getting 3 more movies, and she's like, new characters, and I was like, yep. And she says, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
But yes, replicators. They are they're your zombie apocalypse and
your Wrath of God.
Your Wrath of God and your robot overlords all mixed into one.
Well, not so much robot overlords, and
once you get the human forms in.
The human forms are the robot overlords, but before that, they're a natural disaster. You know,
yes, you know, much like a zombie apocalypse.
Right. Their whole thing is that they consume materials and replicate. They're machines. They have no morals. They have there's no way to interact with them. They're, pretty much like galaxy-spanning zombies, except you don't become one. In the end, they just overrun you, and all your tech belong to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as they originally appear, they're more like an ant or a bee colony, you know, and that's their level of intelligence, and then they evolve, as things are wont to do in a sci-fi setting.
The more of them they are, the smarter they get. They are very much a hive mind.
Yeah,
and the first 3 times we encounter them, it is scary as fuck.
Yeah, it is. Oh my goodness! And then they're in spaceships and stuff, and you hear tink 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 tink, going through the ventilation. You're like, you're dead.
Yeah. And, I don't know if I should say what I'm about to say because it kind of spoils it, but not really.
SG1 is old.
Yeah, I'm going to say it anyway because when I first started watching SG1, it was season 6, I think.
Okay.
5 or 6. So the replicators kind of started showing up. They had already showed up a few times. And my buddy lent me his box set of each season, so I was watching. So once I got caught up, we were watching, and he's like, oh, hey, this is going to be a replicator episode. I'm like, what? How do you know? He said, look, they're putting their little yellow plastic glasses on. That means there's replicators. Because the replicators, when they get shot and destroyed, they have the parts flying, And apparently those were actual physical things that were being thrown out in front of the camera. So the cast had to wear safety goggles to prevent any issues with flying replicator pieces poking them in the eye.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that they were firing shotguns and big old crew-served machine guns in small enclosed spaces at these replicators, but they were always fun scenes.
Yeah, great scenes. Because like the every time we encounter the replicators, something big, badass, and powerful ends up getting destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Like Thor's ship the first time when they show up in Earth's orbit, and then the Soviet submarine the next episode. Later on, more Asgard ships.
Eventually, the entire Asgard society.
Fleet. Yeah, they're crazy. And then the human forms, just putting a face on a locust swarm doesn't do much for me. Like, I understand why they did it. It makes sense as an evolution of them. But once we got the human forms, they were less intimidating because they were more just like, oh, okay, well, we know exactly what they're going to do because the human forms always do the same thing. They show up, shove their hand in your forehead, and they try to take over your planet, and they move on.
I think they could have done a lot more with the human forms since they had the nano-sized replicator blocks, that they could penetrate your skull and get into your brain just by shoving their hand in your forehead. There was a lot more they could have done to make the human forms more interesting, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
and talking about a scary bad guy.
Ball?
No, I'm talking about the human form replicators.
Oh, scary bad guy.
Yeah.
The one from Atlantis?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. What was that guy's name?
Oberoth.
Oh, geez. That guy had no scruples. He was
a rat bastard.
Yeah, he was. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, oh, holy shit. You're horrible. Run away, guys. Run. And they never did.
Well, they tried.
So you bring up Ball, and that brings up my favorite Stargate movie, the Continuum movie.
I have to rewatch that one.
Oh, my God.
It's sitting right down there, waiting for me to watch
it. Continuum is awesome. And it's one of those movies that happens on the side. Like, you can just ignore it and leave it alone, and you won't miss anything from the Stargate story. From the Stargate story, yes, you will miss.
At the same time, you'll miss the story of Continuum.
Yeah, and Continuum is badass. Like, yes. It's so awesome that I'm modeling a Call of Cthulhu game after it. So, not that I think I will ever get a chance to run it, but maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
So, yeah, Continuum is basically, there's the last system lord, Ball. He is the one that's given them the most trouble. And they finally have the last one, and they're like, all right, we're going to execute you.
We should let them know that Ball cloned himself.
Yes, Ball cloned himself, and so there were like 50 balls running around. And we're talking about Ball, B-A''A', the biblical devil.
Yeah. What? Ball? That's it? As in bocce?
Oh my. So
O'Neill. So witty.
Yeah, I love it. So Ball puts a plan in motion to send one of his clones back in time to change history. And so SG-1 has to go back in time to stop him, and it is amazing.
It is. It really, really is.
And it doesn't have the typical time travel headache either.
Right. It's the whole alternate timeline thing.
Yeah. And I liked that because a lot of times I watched Predestination kind of recently, and all the
Predestination?
Yes.
Never heard of it.
You should watch it. You should check it out. It's interesting.
Okay.
But it's basically there's this time cop, and the time cop has to travel around in time to stop bad people from doing things. And I'm not going to say any more other than the cast turns out to be really small. And it is a very awesome yet confusing movie because you're sitting there watching it. And I'm like, okay, I get how that is a cause and effect, but what was the first cause? What was the first effect? And it's a whole time travel yarn ball that you start picking at it, and threads come out, but it never gets any smaller. Continuum's not like that. It's a very clean loop, and you watch it and you're like, that's a satisfying time travel movie. I like that.
It really is. And then like just the look on his face at the end when they've come back from preventing him from changing the past, and he's like, wait, why isn't anything happening? Oh shit.
It's like, haha, got you, Ball.
Yep. Ball is just one of the best TV villains of all time.
And the actor they got for him is perfect.
Yes, they could not. Oh, they might have been able to do a little bit better, but it'd be extremely difficult to do better than who they got for Ball.
Yeah.
Because he was a Goa'uld, a system lord, but most of the system lords were all full of themselves, high and mighty. I am a god. Self-deluded. But Ball knew he was a parasite. He was pretending, but he was shrewd, smart, savvy, and knew when enough was enough. So unlike the rest of the system lords who are like, I'm just gonna, keep attacking the Towery because they keep attacking us, Ball's like, nope, I'm gonna sit back, I'm just gonna chill over here in the corner, watch the rest of the system lords get their asses kicked, and I'm gonna laugh at them. And then when the galaxy needs saving, I'm gonna jump in and be like, hey, remember that time we worked together and saved the galaxy? It was great. Let's do it again.
Yeah, one of the best things I like about him is that, most of the system lords were like, we are the system lords, we are together, and yet they always fought each other. And yeah. Ball was like, sure, I'll be a system lord. Fuck all you other guys. Yeah, you don't interest me. I'm going to do my own thing. So he's like part of the big bad group, but he's apart from the big bad group. And so that it made him really interesting because they would do things that would affect all of the system lords except him, because he had set himself apart from everyone. So he's like, oh yeah, hey, thanks for taking down my enemies another notch. That really helps me out.
Yep.
I think that would be an amazing bad guy in a game too. Someone who's like part of the big bad enemy that you're fighting against, but is separated enough to where you do things against all the enemies, and he just gets stronger for it.
Ball is the epitome of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Because while Ball was a fairly powerful system lord, he didn't mess with Earth and their allies. And so when one of the others, like you said, one of the other system lords steps up and starts crapping on Earth and their friends, Ball's like, hey, I'll help you out. And oh, by the way, once his ass is kicked, I just absorbed like half of his territory and I got even more powerful.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I'm not going to use this on you guys. It's all good. Don't worry.
Not yet, anyway. That might come someday. But for right now, our truce is good.
Yeah. And so like he was, because when we first encountered Ball, he was an underling of one of the other system lords. And the actions of SG-1 is what made him into the system lord power that he was. Because he just would have been a minor Goa'uld system. Was he even a system lord when we first encountered him?
Wasn't he in charge of that hell moon? And then because no, that was someone else.
That was someone else.
Okay,
that was when Apophis came back.
Yeah, that's true. So he was someone minor.
Encountered Ball was when he was torturing O'Neill, right after the Tok'ra symbiote blending, because he got sick from the ancient in Antarctica, and Ball captured him trying to sneak into his secret complex place.
I don't remember the specifics, honestly. It's been too long since I saw all of SG-1. There's so much that goes on.
It was after Jackson died again.
Okay.
When the first time he ascended. So this was the first episode where Jackson made Daniel Shanks made a guest appearance.
Right. So it was right after the radiation poisoning
Right.
on.
It was what, season 4?
No, might have been. Yeah,
I think.
sounds right. Season 4 or 5, when Jonas Quinn shows up.
Yes. Which honestly, I didn't have that big of a problem with Jonas.
I love Jonas. Jonas was a fun character. He wasn't Daniel Jackson, and I was glad when Daniel Jackson came back, but Jonas was good.
Yeah. My wife didn't like him because, she had a crush on Jackson.
Yeah, my wife was the same way. She's like, yeah, he's funny, but he's not Daniel Jackson.
Right. And so it's like, yeah, it's Jonas Quinn. He's a jerk because he tries to take Jackson's spot. And we all love Jackson. So Quinn. I'm like, yeah, but he's, as a standalone character, he's a good standalone character.
Mm-hmm. One of the cool things I thought that Jonas Quinn brought to the table was that he showed how different humanity could be, even with just minor changes from their environments as they got seeded out in the other planets in the galaxy. Because he just learned a little bit faster. That was the only special thing about him. He just learned a little bit faster. But man, he used that to very good effect.
And did he actually have eidetic memory, or he just could remember where he read something and grab it?
I don't remember. I think he was just good at remembering where he read it, because he's always like, I read that somewhere. And so he would like remember more or less what it was, and then he'd be able to pick up the book and show them, I think. It's been forever since I've seen any Jonas Quinn episodes.
Jonas he's a good standalone by himself. He's a good character. I think he gets a lot of flack because he tried to take Jackson's spot, and Jackson's just a better character overall.
Yeah. What can you think of your favorite SG-1 episode? Out of the 200 plus there were?
I think Prometheus Unbound.
Which one is that? Because I don't remember names.
That was when we first met Vala. And she stole Prometheus. I like it because it was a standalone episode that was Jackson-centric. It took place on Prometheus because I can't believe I forgot this, but my absolute number one all-time favorite thing of the Stargate franchise is the Prometheus. That ship just like embodies to me everything an Earth-built spacefaring vessel should be. Whenever you see it on screen, you hear the thrum of the engines, and it's like a classic muscle car with that deep throbbing bass of the engines. It's all angles. It's not like the Asgard stuff. It's all smooth and rounded and pretty looking. The Goa'uld are very triangular pyramid. They got the pyramid in the middle with all, and then the smaller ships have the sweeping wings, but Prometheus was just blocky and big, and it was like it's a classic muscle car in space. Mm-hmm. It's an American muscle car in space. That is just
when they introduced the Prometheus, I was not thrilled. I did not like it at all.
What?
I felt it was turning it into Star Trek too much. And I liked it that it was small time.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
But I will say that as they started using the Prometheus to tell stories and through SGA and everything, I grew to love the ships for much the same reasons that you do. But that Vala episode was probably a big reason why I started enjoying the ships more as well, because it was that power creep. Like, oh, we're getting more and more technology. We're getting more and more powerful. Our enemies are having a tougher time dealing with us. But then Vala just comes in and tricks us all out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And she just steals the ship. And so she puts us down back, I guess the phrasing is in our place.
Right.
Or what I felt was our place, because we were the underdogs. We were the new kids on the block. And she came in and showed us there are still some things that you need to learn about the greater galaxy. And
Right.
so that was a lot of fun.
Um, and going back to your um, gaining the technology which turned into Star Trek, I think they did a great job with introducing the tech level progression slowly, because the Hatak vessel was kind of the white whale of the series for a while. We need to have our own
Yeah.
mothership so we can protect Earth. But after all of the failed attempts, there's what was it when there's the line in when they're taking the Hatak and letting the Tok'ra use it to move worlds, and
You remember what the line is?
O'Neill says, next one we keep." Because that's kind of the thing, is that we were trying to, and by we I mean Earth, the U.S. Air Force, Stargate Command, is trying to acquire a starfaring vessel that could stand up to the Goa'uld, and later on the replicators, and then after that it was
The Ori.
the Ori. And so when Prometheus finally showed up, it was still an underdog, but all of it was a logical progression at that point with all of the tech that they had acquired in the past, and especially with Jonas being there and helping with the Nequadria, and still Prometheus not being up to it still couldn't stand up to a Hatak one-on-one, but it could take out some gliders, an Al-Kash bomber, the cargo ships. As long as it wasn't cloaked, there'd be no problem. So it was still underpowered compared to what it went up against, but we went out there and gave it the good old college try.
Yeah, and as the Earth fleet grows, it's just more and more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite episode from SG-1 has got to be 200.
Everyone loves Shields at Maximum.
It's just so silly and so much fun, and you get to see, kind of what the characters think about themselves, and so it's an interesting psychology experiment, a little bit. And then it's just obviously the actors were just having a blast goofing around with each other, and I thought it was really fun. 200
was a good episode. It was very much a fun throwaway episode.
Yes.
And honestly, I didn't understand all of the humor until the second time I watched it, because the first time I watched it, when it aired, I had not yet seen what was that other TV
show? Extreme?
No, the other it's a TV show. John Crichton, Moya, Farscape.
Oh yeah, Farscape.
Yeah, I had not seen Farscape when I had first seen 200, and so all the Farscape reference just completely went over my head. I'm like, I have no idea what this is supposed to be parodying. And when Vala and Cam first meet, and she says, I know I'd remember if I met you before. I had no idea what was going on, and then I watched Farscape, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally get it now.
My favorite line from 200 is when Jack pops in and says, "Hey, you kids," and Daniel's like, "Huh, Jack's back. No one will see that coming." And then Carter's like, "Oh, please, that'll be in the trailer."
And it was.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, but it's really hard to pick out one specific awesome episode, because, like I said, I love Prometheus Unbound because it was a great character building. It had Prometheus, but at the same time, the I don't remember the name of the episode, but the Groundhog Day episode.
Yeah, I kind of
Great.
remember that. I like the terraforming one where they go to that planet with the humans that have the light sensitive eyes or something like that they can only live on certain planets.
And then that terraforming device is just literally burning everything away.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool because it was like, once again, we're the underdogs, but you know, we can't use violence against this, or we don't want to, because this is the last vestiges of this civilization.
All of the time travel episodes are really good.
They are. 1969.
Yeah.
Is it 1969? Yeah, I think that's the title of it. That was a good one.
2001, 2011.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, because there were
Shen.
Yeah,
the Shen ones are great.
Yeah, and the fact that they came back to him later on.
Yeah, that was way awesome.
Thor's
so
Chariot.
Many threads.
Thor's Chariot is a great episode when we first meet the Asgard, and like just because that was season 2, maybe season 3.
It was pretty early on, yeah.
Yeah, and so we spent like the entire first 2 seasons, seeing how big, badass, dangerous, and nasty the Goa'uld are, and how one, mothership can pretty much call. That's Atlantis with the Wraith, but how one mothership could pretty much dominate a planet, and we come back to a place where, oh hey, by the way, we were here before, and we totally fucked up your anti-Goa'uld device, and so now they're invading. So you need to get the Asgard in here, and then there's like, 2 or 3 motherships landed, and then just one Asgard ship descends from the clouds and just starts literally beaming away bits and pieces of the ship.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
But I think we should switch gears from SG1 to SGA.
All right. We don't have a lot of time.
Because there are a few good things about Atlantis I'd like to touch on. Because the thing that I loved most about Atlantis is that we had spaceships right away.
Yes.
The puddle jumpers were great, and they were spaceships, not starships. So they could only travel to other planets via the gate system. So it's not like a DS9 runabout where you could go into warp, or the Delta Flyer and Voyager. You still had to rely on other means of traveling to different planets, but once you were there, you could go around easily enough. And with
there were some great stories told in those puddle jumpers.
There were like 38 minutes when
they get stuck halfway in.
Shepard gets stuck, and Shepard's got the Aratus bug clamped on his neck.
Yeah.
And then
the one where Rodney gets stuck at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, and he's hallucinating Sam
fantasizing about Sam Carter in her underwear.
That was awesome.
That guy had a horrible, horrible crush that he could not do anything about.
Good episodes in those puddle jumpers. And just having those right away allowed us to explore more space-based stories right away, instead of having to wait several seasons to get up to that technology level. So being a spin-off of SG-1 was helpful because we already had all that background, we already had all that build-up, so it made sense to have the starships and the spaceships right away.
One of the things that... Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. All right. One of the things that I liked about them is that they were ancient technology. It wasn't something that humans had developed and built. It was something that was left over from 10,000 years before. So there was a limited number of them.
And they couldn't make more.
Yeah. And it was advanced technology. So everyone wanted them. So we had to, it became this finite resource that we had to protect while we were out using them. So it was always an extra risk being out there and about with them.
Yeah. and they were used to good effect. And at the same time, like you said, they were used as pawns because the Janai tried to steal them a few times. Well, Kolya tried to steal them a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And
Kolya's a bastard.
yeah. See, Kolya was a good villain, recurring villain, because he was a fanatic. He was doing what he was doing what he was doing because he thought it was in the best interest of his people, which for the most part he was. But at the end he kind of went crazy.
Yep.
But just the last thing I wanted to touch on with Atlantis is the one thing I did not like about it was the search for the ZPM.
Oh, you didn't like that?
Well, it seemed like it was always about finding a ZPM, and as soon as they found one, there was a reason why they couldn't use it. Like it was tampered with, or it was dead, or
someone was using
it, or something happened where, hey, we found a ZPM, hey, we can't use it, or hey, we used it all up trying to do this one really cool thing. Because I personally think that they could have done more with the the city is designed to run on 3 ZPMs, so we've got one, and occasionally we'll find a second one, so then we can do other cool things. But it just felt like an old rehash of, we need a hot talk. Well, the next one we can keep.
Yeah, well, we didn't have that problem with SGU.
Right.
Because we need this thing. Oh, here it is. Let's get it.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, it was good. So, do you have any final thoughts to wrap this episode up?
Stargate is awesome, and y'all should watch it. But actually, I was thinking it would be kind of cool if we did like just picked out like an episode or two and did one of the old Sharkbone episodes where we just watch an episode and draw inspiration, talk about how we can use that at the gaming table, because there's so many good stories in there.
Oh yeah, there are.
We could totally do that, like every once in a while.
And with the old show, I wanted to, and I did once, but the other guys didn't watch the movie because they were like, we don't know anything about Stargate.
Jerks.
So yes, it would be good to do that. Be a good throwback.
Mm-hmm.
What game system would you use to run a Stargate story?
Ooh. Definitely not D20.
I agree with that.
D20 is too crunchy, and Stargate is more... Honestly, it would be an Apocalypse World hack.
Really?
Yeah,
interesting.
Because no matter who you encounter, no matter which team is being highlighted, there are specific archetypes each time. O'Neill is he's the leader. He's not the most. He's the leader / pilot. Teal'c is the alien warrior. So Teal'c and Ronan are kind of similar. They're taken from the same playbook.
Yeah, they fill the same role.
Yeah, O'Neill and
Shepard
are pretty much the same character. Well,
Shepard.
That's how Todd says it. And McKay and Sam are the scientists, and Jackson and Taylor are the ones who know about the cultures. So they're the same archetypes, but they're completely different characters.
Yeah, they're different approaches.
And so I think taking the playbook style from Apocalypse World in those games, because it's not about the shit you have, it's the shit you can do. And can you not honestly look at most of the scrapes they get in and be like, yeah, that's totally an almost made it, roll of 7 to 9. And then when Carter pulls a miracle out of her ass, yeah, she totally rolled a 10 plus on that one.
I think I would use Cortex plus action, and probably for some similar reasons that you picked. I like the hyper competence of the characters because they're all experts in their fields.
Yeah, no question about it.
Yeah, and I like the approach that action brings to it. That's like, yes, you're going to do this thing. What happens when you do it? What goes wrong or what goes right? What else happens while you're doing this thing that you're going to succeed at, most likely?
You're going to succeed. You're just rolling to see what success costs you.
Yeah. I think Fate might be a good match as well. But I like Cortex Plus better than I like Fate, so that's why I'd go with that.
Yeah. Honestly, I could easily whip together something for Fate, because especially with the characters you see on the show, Fate Accelerated would fit very well. But at the same time, the Fate core skills totally work also. But, it all depends on which flavor you prefer. But Fate would very easily fit into that with the hyper competence.
Yeah. I think World of Darkness might be a good fit for those darker times, like when they're fighting the Ori or when they're fighting the Wraith, because that's very gritty and dark feeling.
Yeah, and the World of Darkness is very much the underdogs.
Yes.
If you're a human or you're a hunter, you're going up against the werewolves, the vampires, the forces of darkness, and they're much more competent than you are. They're better than anything. But at the same time, if you're playing that werewolf game or you're playing that vampire game, there's always bigger fish.
Yes. Just
actually,
like
come to think of it, my mind works in weird ways because I said there's always a bigger fish, which reminds me of the quote in Phantom Menace, and which got me to thinking that the new Star Wars Fantasy Flight could work very well for the later seasons where they have
it could,
starships.
couldn't it? Yeah, that would be interesting. That'd be an interesting game. Cool. Well, I think that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. I hope you had a wonderful time watching this. We had several people jumping in and out during the episode. We didn't have any Q&As, though, sadly. Hopefully next time, you guys will have some questions for us.
And if you tried to use a Q&A app and it didn't work, hit us up and let us know, because I've heard mixed reviews on Q&A. Some people say it works awesome. Some people say they can never get it to work. So if you're trying and it's not working, let us know. Send us an email, hit us up on Twitter, or wherever feels best for you.
All right. With that one, I will just sign off. Join the frenzy, everybody.
Have a good night, y'all.
And always check for traps.
Hey, I'm trying something different. Jackass.
Okay. All right. Good night.